One of the other things that really grinds my gears in this country is the fact that people on low income who earn less than the cost of living have to pay income tax on that cost of living, have to pay income tax on that income. And all that does is actually drive these people further into poverty. Now, my view is if you get out of bed every day and put your nose to the grindstone, and I don't care, you know, whether you're earning 40 grand or 100 grand, that first 40 to 50 grand on your income should be tax-free. Because currently, if you, say, earn $50,000, you're paying about $10,000 tax and you're paying about $6,000 in superannuation, and you're just about to start paying HECS. So you're effectively losing $10,000, $16,000. So you're going from, I'm earning $50,000 to take-home pay of $34,000. Now, it's highly likely that unless you're, you know, still living at home with your parents, and even then you'd probably struggle to live on $34,000, you are going to go back below the poverty line.
There is so much. We don't have a cost of living crisis in this nation. We have a cost of government crisis. Right? We've got government taxes. The size of the government is growing all the time. And one of those taxes that grows is the tax on beer. It's the excise on beer. Now, I must admit, I'm not a great beer drinker, and I didn't pay too much attention. I knew that the excise was high. But someone brought to me, I did the sum, so it worked out a case of, or a slab of 30 VB cans, which retails, I think, some of the big liquor outlets got on sale for about $60, right? More than $30 of that is actually tax.
Yeah.
So you charge, so the excise worked out something from memory about $24, just it might have been $24, $26. And then you pay, remember they charge you the GST on top of the excise, so you're paying a tax upon a tax, right? Yep. And then there's the GST on the other component. And that, the rest of it, that doesn't include all the licensing fees and all the other regulations of business. That's just the straight tax, straight off the top.
Why are we paying so much for fuel, I asked? I did a little bit of research, and what I came up with is quite alarming. Did you know at the Bowser, let's base this off $1.65 per litre for diesel, which a lot of service stations are at the moment around Australia. So with $1.65, 40 cents of that is actually a fuel excise tax, which is separate to the GST. You then put the GST on top of it. So at $1.65, with those two taxes, at the Bowser, you really should only be paying $1.08 per litre. If it was only GST-able, then you'd be around $1.20. So why are we getting taxed that? It actually goes up every 6 months in line with alcohol and cigarettes. Is the money actually going anywhere to do with roads? Well, from what I've found, only about 20% does. The other 80% goes into general revenue. So all I see here is a tax on top of a tax that we're forced to pay because we have no other option. People are going to start to struggle soon.
So Hanson, welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Sarah.
Now, we just said Donald Trump's everywhere in this campaign. You congratulated him on his victory, having toasted him with champagne in 2016. With everything we've seen, do you think he still appeals to Australian voters?
What he stands for in representing his own country and being the president for the American people, they want change there. That's why he was overwhelmingly voted in. What he does in his country, you know, his business. Australia is totally different. We need to deal with our issues and problems here that we are facing in Australia. And the biggest one that we have at the moment is cost of living and the high immigration that's coming into the country.
So when the bloke goes on a bloke that has worked all week, that goes to pick up a slab of VB from the bottle shop, half of his money goes in tax to the federal government before he starts, right? And that's from his after-tax income.
Correct.
So it's this thing. So someone paying 37 cents in the dollar, plus their 2% Medicare levy, they're effectively paying 40 cents in the dollar, right?
Yeah.
They earn $100. Right? The government says, thank you very much, I'll take 40 of that, leaves you with 60 in your pocket. You go to the bottle shop, right? What should actually cost you $30, the government says, I'll take another $30 of that.
That's
so
right.
to buy a case of beer that actually costs you $30, that actually should cost $30, there's $70 is taken out in taxes.
I think that the way the country is going now, I don't believe it's in the right direction. Under the Albanese government, they say they brought the debt down. They haven't. Actually, when the coalition government handed it over to the Albanese government in 2022, the debt at that time was around $600 billion. It's now close to $1 trillion. It's expected to rise to $1.2 trillion.
8 months to this year, we've had over 800,000 people come into this country. And yet the Albanese government wants you to believe that they're going to see net immigration of just 395,000 people this year. This figure is completely unsustainable and it is completely reckless. And the Albanese government needs to explain why, over the last 2 years since they've been in government, they have dramatically increased immigration.
Imagine a minor party winning this federal election. It's possible and it can be done. We are not a two-party system, we never have been. But imagine if Jared Rennick's party won. We would have a whole new system. We would have a whole new political outlook, one for the Australian people. Because right now, the Liberal and the Labor Party are more interested in serving a small minority. That's why they're flooding our country. That's why they're looking after the minority and not the majority, because they believe that your votes don't count anymore. So think about this. You need to think about what you want for this country. Because even those people that are coming to this country, they want the same thing as us. But in order for that to happen, we need to vote for a minor party like Jared and then forming a coalition with every other independent.
Approximately 14.2 million Australians, aged 15 to 64, are considered able-bodied workers in 2024. So taking into account the combined total of federal and state debts, what burden would that be for each of those 14.2 million able-bodied Australians? The combined debt burden for each able-bodied Australian aged 15 to 64 is approximately $112,000, considering both federal and state debts. Is that figure excluding all other taxes? Yes. The figure of approximately $112,000 per able-bodied worker represents only the combined federal and state debt burden. It does not include any other taxes that Australians pay, such as income tax, GST, or other levies. This number is simply a per capita share of the total public debt, not a direct or additional tax liability to justify Australia's $1 trillion federal debt. Go woke, go broke, vote for your future.